At the Hilton, 3 hours, 55 minutes, coordinated universal.
Hi, good evening. This is Gene from Listening In Radio, KB9001, MWDX, KB9001, SWL, and don't forget my ham radio call sign, WN9ZWC. And I bet you're looking at the video I posted and you're like, what the heck did I just see? Well, what the heck you just saw was WWV Radio, which originates from the National Institute of Standards in Collins, Colorado. And that radio station, WWV, has a very interesting history that goes all the way back to 1919, I think, is when it first went on the air. But I won't go into the history. I'll let you look into that. But I'm just here to say that this was out on shortwave, and they've been broadcasting the Universal Coordinated Time and other weather information and other important information for mariners and other navigators and such things along those lines. So WWV is important, and why is it important? It's important because it applies to ham radio operators like myself. I use WWV often to check the clocks in my shack. Ham radio operators use Universal Coordinated Time, which is what they're broadcasting from their clock there at the National Institute of Standards, which is pretty interesting. This is where they have the atomic clock. I don't know if this is related. I think it might be. And they also broadcast to mariners, people at sea. They broadcast to pilots who use that information so they can synchronize their navigation. Probably used in satellite and space operations and many other things. And it's out on shortwave. And for those who are interested, you can hear it. I hear it usually at 5,000 megahertz and 10,000 megahertz on the shortwave band. And those, I've heard it down on the lower bands. I think they broadcast down to 2.5 as well. So, but if you have flipped through the channels or flipped through the frequencies, I'm sure you're going to run into that sooner or later. In fact, the radio I used, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite radios, is the Ratty RF320. This is a great little radio, and I guess I'm putting a little shameless plug in there for Ratty. It does a great job. In fact, I threw a wire antenna on it thinking it would make WWV louder, and it didn't. It actually created more interference, but the antenna was just fine. And boy, that's the kind of radio you want. It works on its own. It doesn't need a lot of help, and it does a good job isolating frequencies. And I was able to hear WWV very well. And by the video I posted, you can hear it is kind of a quality signal tonight. But with that said, I'll give you a little propagation bulletin here, propagation prediction of mine. The weather's changing here where I'm at in central Iowa, and it's actually kind of getting cooler. We had some hot days, some good growing days for crops here, but now it's starting to cool off. So we're starting to head into fall, and it's already down like in the 70s tonight. And I'm a little bit further south, but not too far here. Winter's going to be moving in pretty quick, and I can kind of see the change. But the result of that is propagation has gotten a little bit better. In fact, the WAE contest was this weekend, which is to work all Europe, and I worked many stations, and it was really good yesterday. Propagation was just really great, and a couple things were lined up with that. We had the meteor shower last night, from what I understand. I saw one small meteor, which is kind of cool. And but did it make propagation better? Did we see some meteors scatter? Maybe. I'm not an expert in that type of thing. I am only familiar with like meteor scatter and things like EME, which is Earth, Moon, Earth propagation. I've only heard of it. I'm not real familiar with how it works on certain bands. But anyhow, that's, again, up to you to the research. But I'm just saying that over the last couple of days, propagation has been good. We're coming into winter months, so summer's starting to wind down, and you guys can, when you get done boating and fishing and hiking, you can jump back on the radio and see what's going on out in the shortwave world, because shortwave's been wide open during this good propagation window too. I heard many stations. A lot of people are saying things like AM radio and shortwave are dead. Just not true. It's not true at all. I'm hearing many stations. If you look online and you go to a website like What's on Shortwave Now, or look at some of the propagation predictions, I like to look at What's on Shortwave Now, because you have a running a schedule of everything that's coming in and frequencies that it's on. Pretty much everything I looked for over the last couple nights using that computer program or online program, I found were broadcasting and I could hear them. So that's really good. That's unusual. As far as like 10 meters, I've been on 10 meters, trying to work with that a little bit, and a little bit of 11 meters too. I have some 11 meters in my shack too, and it hasn't been that great. So we'll have to see how the propagation goes. But with that, I've been pretty busy myself. Sorry I didn't get on a little bit sooner to do some videos or put up a short. I think I put up one short, but my summer's been pretty busy too, with a lot of stuff around the house and making sure the lawn is cut and fixing things up and doing some antenna work. I got a new vertical antenna put up and got some things tweaked along that way, or along those lines with ham radio. I'm hoping to get into 10-meter repeaters here very soon. We'll have to see how that works out. I bought one radio, and unfortunately, I don't think it's going to work out. Long story, I could explain that later in a different video, but I'm probably going to be looking at buying an Alinco 10-meter radio that I spotted from DX Engineering, I think it is. And I'm probably going to purchase that radio. In fact, I am going to purchase that radio so I can get on that repeater. So, if you ever want to teach your kid, what's the saying, to stay away from trouble or not get into drugs, get him in a ham radio because he won't have any money, because that's ham radio care can be pretty pricey, but it's getting better. It's getting better. Okay, thanks for your time. Don't mean to bore you there. And this is Gene, WN9ZWC, from listening in. Have a great night. Bye-bye.